Late last week, President Trump came out swinging against the U.S. Supreme Court after its latest ruling against his administration. In less than a week, the court had delivered two opinions that went contrary to conservative principles, although the so-called conservatives outnumbered the others 5-4. In both instances, Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the liberal wing, while Justice Gorsuch sided with the liberal wing and even wrote its majority opinion in the second of the rulings, the one for DACA. We'll look at what Trump deemed a shotgun blast to the face of conservative voters in this episode of Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to restore American liberty and independence. According to The Hill, the Supreme Court on Monday ruled 6-3 that employees cannot be fired for being gay or transgender. The administration had supported the employers ahead of that decision, arguing that the Civil Rights Act does not cover sexual orientation or gender identity. On Thursday, the court ruled 5-4 that Trump had illegally ended the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, otherwise known as DACA. Now, if any of us are confused about why this has happened, let's remember that this isn't the first time a so-called conservative judge has let fellow conservatives down. It was Chief Justice Roberts that was instrumental in upholding the constitutionality of Obamacare, equating it to a tax that Americans must now pay. Regarding the discrimination case, the New American reported in an online article that Judge Gerard Lynch of the lower court wrote in his opinion, that speaking solely as a citizen, I would be pleased to awake one morning to learn that Congress had secretly passed such legislation more than a half century ago, until I actually woke up and realized that I must have been still asleep and dreaming, because we all know that Congress did no such thing. As the New American concluded, Lynch's statement sums up the problem with the decision. It's not the province of the Supreme Court or any other court to decide what the law ought to be. That is the job of the legislative branch. The Constitution gives all legislative power granted to the federal government to Congress. If a judge wants to make law, then that judge can run for Congress. In many cases in which the courts have twisted statutes to promote their own views as to what the law should be, in their minds anyway, we all know that many court rulings have little to nothing to do with either the Constitution or statutes. And right there lie the majority of our problems with the American courts. It's not so much that it's the court system, but those that are practicing within it. To help illustrate this, let's turn to the Federalist Papers, which were a collection of letters published in newspapers across the country in 1788 to help explain the proposed Constitution and to persuade its ratification. According to James Madison, the father of the Constitution, he wrote, "If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls in government would be necessary." He explained further on that in a compound republic, those controls came from not just the people, but from both of the levels of the republic, state and federal. However, this only works when those checks and balances are actively working and each level of government is following its constitutional duties and adhering to its limitations. Now, we can easily make the case that Congress is definitely not following its limitations as laid out in the enumerated powers of Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. We can also make the case that the states do a poor job of applying checks and balances to Congress to keep them within their limitations. And the result is our current reality, which is out-of-control government on nearly all levels that is rife with fiscal irresponsibility and moral decay. The court system is not any different. Instead of justices obeying and applying the law to render their opinions, they rely on previous opinions of other judges, no matter how wrong that opinion may be. This incestuous practice of citing case after case creates bad precedents and has led us so far away from the supreme law of the land that good is now declared evil and evil is declared good. The prophet Isaiah warned against doing this thousands of years ago, as did the prophet Hosea, who said that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So we come to the root of the problem that America has faced since its inception. Those in government either ignore their limitations, or they're ignorant of those limitations, or they deliberately usurp powers to grow government beyond its precious and delicate scope and balance that protects our God-given rights. The solutions are to fight ignorance with education, to hold accountable those that ignore their constitutional limitations, and to expose and also hold accountable those deliberately engaged in deep state or globalist treachery. As we've quoted before, Thomas Jefferson recommended on numerous occasions educating the people as they are the only ones that we can rely on for the preservation of our liberty. The John Birch Society has a national program that does just that. We educate and inform concerned Americans on how to use the tools that founders gave us in order to restore and protect American liberty and freedom. The more people we engage with, the more we inform. And the more informed voters are, the better candidates we will have for office. And of course, the better the candidates, the better our chances are that those in office will actually obey the Constitution. We must remember that the answer to today's government overreach is not found in political parties. Rather, it's found in the application and adherence to the Constitution. But we need the numbers that it takes to implement this solution. So if you're not yet a member, we invite you to apply for membership today. We have expert staff who will help guide you down this path of activism so you never have to do it alone. Come, join the team. Links are in the video description. I'm Bill Hahn for the John Birch Society, and until next time, stay informed, stay active, and of course, stay safe, Patriots.